What's going on, everyone? Jeremy here from The Quartering, and the Sunday conversation is out right now on the Daily Wire. I'm going to do a full breakdown of that. It's 1 hour long. I don't know when they dropped it, but I'll cover that at length as well. But new information, little nuggets have been dropping about the way that Gina Carano was treated, headhunted by Disney and Lucasfilm, as well as some other mysteries around other people who she knows about that have faced the exact same thing. You see, fired Mandalorian star Gina Carano says bullying Disney wanted her gone before she was canceled for her right-wing views. Well, of course. We saw, even Gina admits in this interview that the writings was on the wall. Like, she knew that it was going to happen. Again, I wouldn't really characterize her opinions as exclusively right-wing. The statements that she had made were, questions about the accuracy at the polls, which was a right-wing talking point after this election. But in 2016, wasn't it a left-leaning perspective? Russia, remember that? The media conveniently forgets, but I don't, and you don't. And if you're tuning in and you're not yet subscribed, please do click that red subscribe button down below the video. It'll be probably the only way you'll find my videos, since YouTube seems to bury them. And I so greatly appreciate your support, and I hope I'll earn that subscription today. Carano 38 gave an interview to the Daily Wire to air on Sunday. Well, I have it already. She said that Disney and Lucasfilm bullied her. Yeah, they did. I don't really know. Some of the quotes were exactly what you would expect here during the first sit-down interview. Quote, "You know how boxers headhunt and sometimes forget to go for the body." Well, pick up the body really is what, I'll say anyway. I won't, you know what? She's the fighter, not me. "I feel like Disney or Lucasfilm or whoever it is, just certain people at the company, Kathleen, I hit my microphone. Kathleen Kennedy, certain people at the company, I feel like I've been headhunted. They've been all over me, and they've been watching me like a hawk. And I'm watching people on the same production, and they can say everything they want. And that's where I had a problem." And she's exactly right. The people that would gaslight and act like, "Oh, you're just mad, cope more, conservative." I know that dunks are easy, and I fall, victim to dunking on people too. It's fun. But it's only a dunk when you think your side is winning, right? These people act like there isn't a clear double standard. They know there's a double standard, but they don't care because their side is winning currently. Okay? Pedro Pascal made similar overwrought comparisons to the events that led to WW2 that Gina Carano did. Nobody said a word about it. Pedro Pascal also compared half of Americans to the probably literal worst people ever. So it's because I don't care where you lie. I have a feeling most of my viewers are center right or apolitical. And but if I have genuine liberal viewers or leftist viewers, not far left, leftist viewers, I sure hope that they can at least understand that you have to accept the double standard. It's obvious, right? The idea that, these are the same people that pretend cancel culture doesn't exist, when of course it does. The hashtag, had fire Gina Carano never trended on Twitter, I guarantee she would not have been fired. That is just not a position anybody with one iota of critical thinking skills or an ability to rationalize things would ever think. Of course, the Twitter trend got her fired. Of course it did. She says, "I'm watching people on the same production, and they can say whatever they want, and that's where I had a problem. I had a problem because I wasn't going along with the narrative. Absolutely. Quote, almost immediately when Carano was fired, it was announced that she was teaming up with Ben Shapiro to develop, produce, and star in a new movie for the Daily Wire. In the interview, she also speaks about how it felt when Shapiro reached out to her in the wake of everything going on. Quote, when you called, my body was still shaking. It's devastating. But the thought of this happening to anyone else, especially to somebody who could not handle it this way, the way I can, no, they don't get to do that. They don't get to make people feel like that. And if I buckle, it'll make it okay for these companies who have a history of lying to be lying and to do this to other people. And they've done it to other people, and I'm not going down without a fight. And in the, the Daily Wire breakdown, there are lots of other interesting nuggets in here. She talks about, here's the extended quote. I feel like that's headhunted. Just a couple of weeks ago, Lucasfilm asked an artist that they employ to erase my character and put a different character in place. And he proudly announces this on Twitter and erases my character and puts another character in her place. All the fans of Cara Dune were just outraged. They were like, why didn't you add the character? Why didn't you just add a character? Why did you have to take her off? Is there something wrong? Is Gina getting fired? Ultimately, Carano said she wouldn't be back on the series she found out in the same way most of the world did, via social media, which is just heartbreaking. Absolutely pathetic. People talk about in sports how players will find out they've been traded via social media. I also think that that's not okay. This is different. This is being fired. And also, with the statement that Lucasfilm made, they tacitly endorsed all of the bad things that people were saying about her. And this also goes back to when they removed the art, people, thought, hey, it's probably no big deal. People gaslit. I don't know why they're doing it. There's no big deal, no big deal. Well, guess what? Gina saw that and she knew. She knew that she was going to be fired. She knew the writing was on the wall for a very long time. She talks about it in the interview. Ultimately, quote, how I found out was that I looked on the internet and, check your Twitter and I'm trending and hashtag fired Gina Carano, hashtag worked. But she says when she received an email by accident from a Disney staffer following the social media reaction to her posts, they accidentally sent me an email, which was very enlightening. So I knew they were paying attention. I know there were some people who went to bat for me, but I know that they didn't win out at the end. Think about that. Somebody accidentally sends Gina an email, probably bashing her, one of her coworkers. And yeah, I'm sure there were people that stood up for her, but ultimately, because of the balance of power, she wasn't going to win. Like, even if, Filoni and, why can't I think of his name right now? There's nobody. Kathleen Kennedy made this decision. There is literally no doubt. Not Dave Filoni. Why can't I think of his name? I know you. I hear you yelling it. Jon Favreau. I had to go look at my last video. Kathleen Kennedy did this. There's just no doubt in my mind. Carano goes on to agree with Ben Shapiro that she believes there is a double standard at play at the studio depending on one's politics. Quote, they've been all over me and they think, they've been watching me like a hawk. And I'm watching people on the same production and they can say everything they want. And that's where I had a problem. They had a problem because I wasn't going with the narrative. Quote, I was prepared at any point to be let go because I've seen this happen to so many people. I've seen the looks on their faces. I've seen the bullying that takes place. And so when this started, they just point their weapons at you. And you're like, it's only a matter of time. It seems it happens to so many people. And I just thought to myself, you're coming for me. I know you are. They're making it very obvious through their employees who were coming for me. And I was like, I'm going to go down swinging and I'm going to stay true to myself. absolutely incredibly admirable, and makes me respect Gina boatloads. Quote, she tells Shapiro at another point, when you called, my body was still shaking. It's devastating. But the thought of this happening to anyone else, especially to someone who could not handle it the way I can, no, they don't get to do that. They don't get to make people feel like that. And if I buckle, it'll make it okay for these companies who have a history of lying to be lying and to do this to other people. And they've done it to other people, and I'm not going down without a fight. You know, she talks about I don't know if it's in the Deadline article. I have to balance what I can say right now, but she talks about how there are other people on that same production that are suffering the same kind of thing, but she can't say because it would ruin their career, because they're just trying to make a dollar too. They're just trying to secure their bag too. And I don't blame her. Who could it be? Maybe Carl Weathers. You know, it's obviously not going to be somebody who's left-leaning. You know, it's going to be somebody who maybe is slightly right or just non-narrative. You know, there's the fact that she was accidentally sent an email by a Disney employee. There were those in the companies who did go to bat for her. Maybe that wasn't an accident. You know, I really hope the best for her. I would love to see her like in the Expendables. You know, why not? I mean, Sly could make that happen. She'd be awesome in the Expendables. People would love that. You know, the film she's going to work on with the Daily Wire, obviously going to be very, very interesting. You see, Carano speaks out for the first time after being ousted. I don't know if these are approved quotes. There are things in the interview that I'll break down later. I hope that this just helps. I'm sure she needs some time to deal with it. But I hope she gets right back to work. I hope she doesn't, you know, kind of linger around, and because she could. She's probably got enough money to where she doesn't need to work. And I hope she doesn't carry this too long. Like, get back at it, get back to work. You know, start your stuff with the Daily Wire. She should start. Absolutely. She should have a YouTube channel. She should be doing more talk shows, she should be coming on bearded YouTube channels to talk about her current projects. She should embrace the fandom that she has now, because it's different. She should make sure she keeps her Parler account updated. She doesn't have to pledge allegiance to either side of the political aisle. There's more people. Like, if you take the political ideologues on both sides, like staunchly conservative and staunchly leftist or liberal, you're talking about 5 to 10% of the population. There's 90% of the people out there that either are not political or would, you know, have varying views on things, or are not crazy and willing to accept, you know, art from an artist that whose political views they don't maybe agree with. So it's going to be interesting. I'm going to have a breakdown of the interview later today, so make sure you stay on the channel and check back. Hope you enjoyed this video. We'll talk to you again real soon.